everyone, welcome back. This is your friend Elizabeth Gaddy. I am the Director of Operations for the Tyler Gaddy team at Omni Homes International here in Tucson. Open houses, that's what we're going to talk about today. Everyone tells you to hold an open house, and there truly are a number of different ways to do it successfully. But today I will be sharing with you what has worked for our team, how to prepare for the open house, what to do during your open house, and what to do after. So let's get started. So, the whole point of an open house is to create leads or lead generate. If this is your listing, then you may want to get the house sold, but you also need to keep in mind that you may find buyers that are not interested in this particular house, but can maybe buy another one from you. If it's not your listing, then you definitely want to find buyers or potential sellers at your open house. Any licensed agent can't hold one open, even if you don't have any listings yourself. Typically, you can hold another agent's listing open as long as they are in the same brokerage, and of course, as long as they give you permission to do so. Some brokerages will even allow you to hold any house currently listed on the market. So check with your broker for specific rules and guidelines regarding what you can and cannot do. The first step to holding an open house is finding the house itself. And again, this is if you don't already have a listing of your own. Our team prefers vacant houses, but that's just a preference and not a rule by any means. You do want your house, however, to be easily accessible and near major intersections, or at the very least to roads with a lot of traffic. You can use the map in the MLS to see where the house is located, kind of get your feeling for the neighborhood, and map out your sign placement, which we will talk about a little bit later on. The name of the game here is exposure. You're going to be spending time and effort at the very least trying to put this together. So you want to give yourself the best chance of success by making sure people see your name, your brand, and more importantly, that you're conducting business. The average realtor in Tucson sells about 3 homes per year, which is not a lot. So you want to let everyone know you're all in on it. This is your business and your lifestyle. So when picking the house, you also want to look at the days on market. You usually get better traffic the newer the listing is, but again, this is just a suggestion and not a rule by any means. Once you have picked the house, you'll want to contact the listing agent to ask for permission to hold it open. It's also a great idea to schedule a preview of the home before you actually contact them, just to make sure that this is, in fact, the house you want to hold open. A lot of times, pictures on the MLS look great, and then you walk into the house and it's not the type of house that you would want your name associated with. So, again, if possible, visit the house prior to asking for permission. You do want to call the agent, but if you don't get an answer, always leave a message and follow up with an email and a text. It may sound a little bit overkill, but it's really not, especially if the listing agent does a lot of business. Your voicemail may be missed entirely or listened to and then forgotten about. And here's a little script that I wanted to give you when leaving that voicemail. So it will sound something like this. Hi, Sally. My name is Elizabeth Gaddy with Omni Homes International. I was wondering if you were open to additional marketing on your listing at 123 North Street in the form of an open house. I will provide detailed and accurate feedback the same day and will utilize 10 signs to drive people into your listing. If you're open to it, I would like to dedicate my time for Sunday, January 1st from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. My direct callback number is 520-982-5052. I will follow up with a text and an email. Thank you. Talk to you soon. So that's a script I use and that our team uses as well. If you know how many open houses you have done in the past, which, by the way, you should be tracking, feel free to throw that in there in your text and in your email as well. That lets the other agent know that you're taking this seriously and you mean business. And you can also let them know in the email if you plan on doing paid social media advertising or anything like that. Essentially, you want them to know what's in it for them. Assuming you get the okay from the listing agent, then you can start preparing for your open house. Ask the listing agent questions like, why is the seller selling? Are there any special features about the house I should know about? What's important to the seller? You want to be as much of an expert on that house as the listing agent themselves. So when the open house day comes, you're knowledgeable and feel confident. You should allow yourself at least 1 week to prepare for the open house, but 2 weeks are definitely better. Aside from knowing the house itself, you also want to know as much as possible about the neighborhood. Are there any parks nearby? Are there any other houses for sale in the area? When was the last sale in the neighborhood and what did it close for? Are there any properties coming soon? What stores are nearby? How far is it from the freeway? Just things that people during your open house might ask you, or even things that you might bring up as you're talking to people. Those will be points of conversation. And again, it will demonstrate that you are a neighborhood expert. You may not know everything by the open house day, but even if you spend 1 hour a day doing this, you'll be ahead of most agents and you'll come across as a professional. And you can study throughout the week. In fact, I recommend that you do so. You don't need to have all the answers right away. Just make sure you keep studying and learning as you prepare for the open house. About a week before the open house, again, 2 if possible, you'll want to go to the neighborhood to do door knocking. You can print a flyer about the property if you'd like, a market report, or even a flyer about yourself. The point of this activity will be to introduce yourself to the neighbors, not necessarily talk about the open house or about buying or selling. If someone opens the door, you can just say something like this. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Gaddy with Omni Homes International. How are you? Great. Hi, I'm working in the neighborhood and wanted to introduce myself in case you see me wandering around in the next few weeks. Would you mind if I leave this with you? And then you can just give them the handout or start a conversation if they're open to it. And don't be scared to follow their lead. Not everyone is keen on having someone knock on their door. So, just read the body language and go with the flow. You won't be asking them for business or anything like that at this point unless they volunteer information that would lead you to believe they may be making a move in the future. You can ask questions about them though. So, how long have you lived in the neighborhood? What do you like about it? If you see they have a pet, ask about the name of their pet. And if you do spark a conversation, even if it's short, just ask their name. Your goal will be to door knock 50 houses, which is about 2 hours for most neighborhoods in Tucson and the surrounding areas. We do a lot of work in Green Valley and Sahuarita, so we have a pretty good handle on those time frames. I used to walk around with a notepad and write down the street name and number of everyone who would open the door for me, along with any details about our conversations, like their name, if they have a dog, or anything, literally anything else I learned about them. That way I could go back to the office and not forget any potential future business. I do recommend paying attention to the front of the house to make sure there are no signs that say, no solicitors, don't ring the doorbell, or anything like that. You want to make sure you come off respectful and, again, professional. Which kind of reminds me, you should wear professional attire while you're doing all of this. Realtors in Tucson tend to dress rather casual because of the weather, like flip flops and shorts, spaghetti straps, and that kind of thing. So, dressing up in dress pants and a blazer with dress shoes can really make a memorable impression. And it really speaks to your professionalism. And of course, wear your name tag. It may sound irrelevant or like a very small detail, but at the end of the day, it's another layer of, this is my business and I'm taking myself seriously. It adds legitimacy and it gives you the opportunity to display your name and brand yet again. So once you're back at the office from door knocking, make sure you record your notes. And I cannot stress this enough. If you're doing anything and not taking your notes down, you're essentially throwing away all your work right there. We're human and our memories are not perfect. So I always do recommend, writing everything down. If you have a CRM, which you should have, enter any interactions you had with people in it. This is called circle prospecting, by the way. You're getting in front of people around your listing or someone else's listing, and you're going to take advantage of the interactions you make. So enter your notes into your CRM. You can also start posting about your open house on social media at this point. If you have a business page, you can schedule these in advance to publish on certain dates. That way you can set it and forget it. And I'm honestly not sure if you can do that on a personal page, but for sure on the business page, you can. You don't have to do a paid ad, but it helps to do so if you can afford it. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Our team runs ads for a week with a budget of $5 for the whole week. You can also ask a lender or a title company to partner with you and split the cost 50-50 if that's really, a burden for you or if you want to do a higher budget. But I mean, there's tons of way that you can get it done and save money while doing it. Just make sure you do at least a few posts about it per week to get the word out. And again, let your sphere of influence know you're working. It also helps to create an event on your Facebook page and share it to closed groups that allow for that kind of posting. Or maybe the classified section of print materials or websites. There's a website called patch.com. You can create an account for free and post open houses there. You can also do listings and other things about your business. So I found it to be, kind of helpful at the very least, again, in getting that exposure out. You also want to make sure that you're asking the listing agent to enter the open house into the MLS so other agents know it's happening and they can bring in their own buyers. As the week goes on, you want to continue studying the neighborhood and you also want to start practicing your scripts for the open house if you haven't done so already. You have to have a plan as to what you're going to say when people walk in the door to qualify any potential leads. And this for us is a non negotiable. Some of the qualifying questions that we ask are, so how long have you guys been looking for a home? Are you searching for properties? How are you searching for properties now? Is it online? Are you on Zillow? Or what kind of website are you using? Have you seen any properties you've liked? Okay, so how come you guys haven't bought anything yet? There are about 13 questions that our team asks at every open house. If you'd like a copy of those questions, shoot me an email and I'll be happy to share those with you. I'll leave my email written down for you guys, but it's Elizabeth at tylergaddyteam.com. Now, every question has its purpose, and it's important to understand what information this is getting you and how to use it. So, again, reach out to me if you'd like to learn more about this. A day or two before your open house, you're going to go back out to the neighborhood and you're going to door knock to invite the neighbors to your open house. If there's no answer, you can leave the invitation on their door, but do not leave it in their mailbox. I guess it should have been common sense, but I didn't know this when I first started. The mailbox is property of the United States Postal Service, and only they can put stuff in there. So if you're leaving anything, leave it at the door. Our team gets door hangers from our preferred home warranty company, which we have found helpful. And they have a little slit to attach your business card to it. So we use those for people who don't open the door. But you can do your own invite if you want something cute or for it to be exclusively branded to you and your brokerage. For those who do answer, we do have an actual invitation that we get from Amazon, and we just brand it and handwrite the information for our open house. And we hand that out in an envelope. So if they do answer the door, our conversation goes something like this. Hi, my name's Elizabeth Gaddy with Omni Homes International. I'm hosting an open house at 123 North Street on Sunday, and the seller asked me to invite you. Can I get your commitment to stop by and give me your honest feedback on the house? If they say yes, then great, I'll see you then. If not, you can say something like, no worries, thank you for your time, have a great day. And then you just move on. If you had previously had a conversation with someone, make it a point to remind them that you've spoken to them before and use your name if you have it, which you should. So it would be, hi Sally, it's Elizabeth Gaddy with Omni again. How are you? Or, something to that effect. Then you move on to your open house invitation script. Essentially, you just want to remind them that you've met them before and you're not a stranger. At this point, you'll want to start planning your sign placement as well. So look at maps, take inventory of your signs and whether they have straight or turn arrows. You want to make sure you have a plan. Most open house signs are made of metal. They can get heavy depending on whether they are A-frame signs or the standard ones. And you should try to get the small details out of the way as early as possible so you can focus your energy on lead capture the day of your open house. You want to place as many signs as you possibly can with a minimum of 10 signs. And that really is just the minimum. We usually do about 25. However, for my very first house, which was someone else's listing, I was working as a solo agent and I only had 5 open house signs. So I ended up talking to the listing agent and asking if I could borrow some of hers. Even though her signs obviously didn't have my name on them, I used mine on the major roads to get more exposure. And then I used hers within the neighborhood to guide people to the listing. It's in the listing agent's best interest to help you, so don't be scared to ask them for whatever you need. Bottom line, have your sign placement planned no later than the day before your open house. And again, this is for you to just be relaxed and confident and make the most out of the event that you're hosting. So, on the day of your open house, or maybe even the night before, you're going to prepare your open house packets. Your packet should have a cover letter with your contact information and maybe a little introduction about yourself. The second page will be information about the house. If you want to keep it simple, you can print the public version of the MLS data sheet. Or if you want to get fancy and have something, again, branded and looking beautiful, you can do a custom flyer, print a couple pictures, whatever works best for you. The third page will be a one-line CMA of active homes in the area to give your audience an idea of what the market is doing around the listing. Again, you're the neighborhood expert and you want to make sure that everyone who walks in through that door knows it. Lastly, you'll want to have a sheet with other listings for sale around the area, and you want them to be at higher and lower price points, and you want them to have bigger and smaller square footage. You want to include these houses because the listing you're showcasing is not going to be for everyone, and you want to be ready to overcome any objections that they may have. And maybe even take them out for a showing to another house on your list after your open house. Also, take a look at other open houses in the area. Make sure you know where they are, at what times, and who's hosting them, or at least have that information handy to reference. You also want to make sure you have picked 2 features of the house, preferably on opposite sides. For example, if the house has a low maintenance backyard and a walk-in closet in every bedroom, you're going to highlight those features. This will come into play when your guests arrive and as you're greeting them, and I'll explain and elaborate on this a little bit later. On the day of your open house, please plan on arriving at least 1 hour early. You're going to go straight to the house and make sure that the house is ready. You're going to turn on all the lights. If there's any window coverings, you can open those up, make sure the home is at a decent temperature and all that good stuff. If the owners are still living in the home, please make sure you check the sink. Make sure there's no dirty dishes in there, that the toilet lids are down. Just make sure the house is presentable. Then you're going to pick a spot to stand and set down your packets, your business cards, and whatever else you're doing. Our team keeps it pretty basic, but I know there's agents out there that like to bring in candy, cookies, water, and things like that. So just pick a spot to get settled in. You want to make sure you can see who's coming without looking pushy or desperate. And you also don't want to be in any of the rooms or too far from the front door. This is a safety issue, but it is also a greeting strategy. So set out all your goodies and then you can go back out to drop your signs. Make sure you lock the house before you drive away with your signs. Don't leave it open. And I usually do take the key with me as opposed to putting it back in the lockbox. That way, if any agent shows up, they can't just access the home. They still have to give me a call, and I can provide that feedback later for the listing agent, like I said I would. So when you're dropping your signs, you want to start from the house on out to the street. The reason for this is sometimes someone will see you dropping signs and they'll start following you to get to the house. So you start from the address and then they can follow whatever signs you have already dropped and wait for you at the house. Then you can, when you're done, drive back to the house, get started with your open house. And while we're talking about that driving, make sure you're not parking in the house's driveway. If you have to walk across the street or park a few houses down, just do it. You want to make it easy for everyone else to come to you and for them to have that, prime parking space. So your open house is finally starting, and you'll be greeting every guest who walks through the door. Our greeting goes something like this. Hi, welcome. My name is Elizabeth Gaddy with Omni. May I ask your name? And then, of course, you wait for them to respond. Nice to meet you, Sally. I have a packet of information here for you. The first page is a letter of introduction, a little bit about our team. The second page gives you all the details on this particular house. The third page gives you information on other houses for sale in the area in case this one doesn't match your needs. And the last page is a map of the area. A couple of things not to miss are the spacious walk-in closets in every bedroom and the low-care backyard. Feel free to take a look and I will check in with you later. That's it. You let them in, and whatever you do, do not follow them. Nobody likes having a salesperson hover over them, and this is again a safety issue. The last thing you want is to end up with your back against the wall in the back bedroom with a stranger, and then nobody else shows up to help you. So again, just don't follow them. Now, as you're saying your greeting, you're making eye contact, and when you're talking about the features of the home, you're going to point with your finger in the direction of the feature. Just like I'm not sure if you caught that, but I'll say it again. A couple of things you don't want to miss are the spacious walk-in closets in every bedroom and the low-care backyard. Whichever way you point last, that's the direction that your guests are more likely to walk towards. So when the next group of people walk in, you point at the backyard first and then the bedrooms. Does that make sense? You're directing traffic at this point and making sure that everybody who stops by gets an opportunity to view the home, feel comfortable in it, and not get crowded in one spot. Now, sooner or later, the person who walked into the bedroom will have to come back out to check out that backyard you highlighted or the kitchen or whatever that might be. When that happens, that's when you're going to strike up a conversation and start qualifying the lead with the questions we talked about before. Based on their answers, you can then decide if they are someone you would like to work with or not. And I used to think that, I wanted to work with everyone, but that's absolutely not the case. So again, it's up to you who you work with. So just make that decision and be an active listener as people are giving you the answers to the questions you're asking. So you're going to keep on doing this throughout your open house, just greeting everyone the exact same way, even agents. And you might wonder why. Well, because you may potentially be working with that agent in the future. Or if this is your listing, you may be receiving an offer from that agent's client, and you want to make sure that you're starting the relationship on a good note and coming from a place of being helpful. We're in this together, and our jobs are to make sure our clients make it to the finish line as stress-free as possible. At the end of the day, that's why the clients hired us, right? So just keep that in mind. Well, people are coming in and out. You should also be tracking how many groups of people are coming in every hour. It doesn't have to be super complicated or fancy, but it gives you valuable data. What I used to do when I was holding open houses is I would write down on my little notepad the time. So if my open house started at 11, I write down 11, 12, 1, 2. And then for every group that walked in between 11 and 12, I would put a tally mark next to 11. If someone walked in between 1 and 2, I would put a tally mark at 1 o'clock. I did this for every open house so I could identify which times I got the most traffic in certain areas, and then I learned to maximize my time this way. Once your open house is over, you're going to lock the house and start picking up your signs. This time, you're going to start from the farthest sign and work your way back to the house. Then you're going to return the home to its original state. So if the lights were off, turn them all back on. Close the blinds if you open them. If you moved a trash can, change the temperature, or did anything to the house, make sure you put it back the way it was. At the end of the day, this may or may not be your listing, but it most certainly is not your house. So you want to be mindful and respectful, and just give it back to the owners in the same condition as you had it when you walked in. So after your open house, when you get to your office, home office, or wherever it is that you're working from, you're going to contact the listing agent and provide the detailed and specific feedback that you promised. This feedback can be any comments that the open house guests made on the property itself, any potential offers that may be coming from other agents, or any offers that you're hopefully putting together for the seller. Make sure you also enter your guest contact information from any captured leads into your CRM, and follow up with them. If you promise you do anything for them, whether it was setting up a home search, send them a market report, or anything at all, make sure you're doing this right away. You will probably remember your open house guests, but the chance of them remembering you if you don't stay in front of them right away are slim to none. So speed is definitely key in earning their business. Send them a text message thanking them for stopping by your open house at 123 North Street. And this is just in case they stopped at several open houses so that they can relate, who you are to the house that they saw. And also send them your contact information so they have it handy. Make sure you're setting a reminder for yourself to follow up the day after, in a week, a month, or whatever is appropriate based on their timeline and the conversation you had with them. Keep following up and going after their business. And that's truly it. You just want to keep following up. Real estate is a long-term game. So again, you don't want to drop the ball. Don't get discouraged if you don't get an answer or hear from them like 5 times after you've reached out once a week for, over a month. Just keep on doing it. You may want to change the frequency in which you're doing it, but you want to stay there. Believe it or not, people take that into account. And when they're ready, if you're persistent and giving them value with every touch, they will come back to you. If you'd like ideas on what to say on that follow-up, you want to practice your scripts, or if you'd like to get all of the qualifying questions that our team uses, you can find my email in the video description. Again, it's elizabeth@tylergaddyteam.com, but it will be on there. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more useful content, and see you next time. I hope you found this useful.